Imagine giving up everything, your money, your family, even your freedom, for a man who promised you paradise, a place where everyone would be equal, where love and peace would rule. But instead of paradise, he gave them poison. This is the story of Jonestown, one of the darkest and most disturbing tragedies in modern history. Jim Jones didn't start out as a monster. Born in 1931 in the small town of Crete, Indiana, Jones grew up in poverty. He was a strange and curious child, obsessed with religion and fascinated by power. Even as a boy, he would study the speeches of dictators like Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, not because he admired them, but because he wanted to understand how they controlled entire nations. This obsession shaped the way he would later lead his own movement. As a young man, Jones became a preacher. He had a natural charisma, a voice that could inspire hope or fear, and an ability to read people's deepest desires. In the 1950s, during a time of racial segregation and inequality in America, Jones began preaching about a radical idea: racial harmony and social justice. For many, especially the poor and marginalized, Jones seemed like a hero. He founded a church he called the People's Temple. But it wasn't just a place to worship, it was a community. People gave him everything: their money, their homes, their loyalty. In return, they received love, acceptance, and a sense of belonging. At first, the People's Temple was a beacon of hope. Members described it as a family where everyone was equal, where color and class didn't matter. But behind the scenes, Jones was changing. The more power he gained, the more controlling he became. He began demanding absolute devotion. Followers were told to cut ties with their families outside the temple. Those who questioned him were publicly humiliated or punished. Members were pressured to sign over their property and savings to the church, believing they were supporting a greater cause. For years, Jones carefully crafted his public image. He smiled for cameras, marched in civil rights protests, and met with politicians, gaining influence and respect. But privately, his sermons were growing darker. He spoke of enemies plotting against them, of conspiracies that only he could see. His message became one of fear and paranoia. By the mid-1970s, journalists and former members began speaking out. They reported abuse, financial exploitation, and manipulation inside the People's Temple. Jones felt the walls closing in. His response was drastic. He decided to flee the United States and create a new utopia far away from government oversight and media scrutiny. He chose a remote area of Guyana in South America, deep in the jungle. There, he promised his followers they would build a paradise, a socialist community free from racism and oppression. Hundreds of members sold their possessions, said goodbye to their old lives, and followed Jones into the unknown. They called this new settlement Jonestown. At first glance, Jonestown seemed like a dream. Wooden cabins nestled among the trees, fields ready for farming, and families working side by side. Smiles filled the promotional videos Jones sent back to the United States. To outsiders, it looked like the perfect community. But for those living there, the reality was much darker. Life in Jonestown was harsh. The tropical heat was relentless. People worked from sunrise to sunset, toiling in the fields under strict supervision. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, preventing anyone from leaving. Letters to loved ones back home were censored. Jones controlled every aspect of life. Loudspeakers throughout the camp broadcast his voice day and night, delivering sermons and warnings. He claimed the outside world was full of enemies who wanted to destroy them. This isolation created a world where Jones's word was law. Then came the White Nights. These were terrifying drills Jones used to test his followers' loyalty. In the middle of the night, alarms would sound and everyone would be gathered. Jones would announce that enemies were coming and that they had only one honorable option.
They're out there! They're out there! They can hear us! They know we mean it! We'll kill them if they come!
Revolutionary suicide. He would hand out cups filled with liquid and command everyone to drink. After a tense, agonizing wait, Jones would reveal it was only a test. But each time, fear grew, and the members became more conditioned to obey without question. By late 1978, whispers of abuse and fear in Jonestown reached U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan. Determined to investigate, Ryan traveled to Guyana with a group of journalists and concerned relatives. At first, Jones tried to make everything appear perfect. The visitors were shown smiling children, tidy cabins, and well-fed workers. The community put on a show, but beneath the smiles, there was desperation. During the visit, several members secretly slipped notes to Ryan and the journalists. These notes begged for help, with messages like, "Please take us home." Ryan agreed to help those who wanted to leave. As his group prepared to depart, tension rose. Jones felt his control slipping away. At the nearby airstrip where Ryan's group was boarding planes, armed men loyal to Jones attacked. Gunfire erupted. When it was over, Congressman Ryan, 3 journalists, and a defector lay dead. Back in Jonestown, Jones gathered his followers in the central pavilion. His voice, calm yet chilling, told them there was no escape.
It is a test.
He claimed that U.S. forces would soon arrive to punish them and that death was their only way to remain free. Jones framed it as an act of defiance, a revolutionary suicide that would show the world their dedication to their cause. Parents were the first to be ordered forward. They were given cups filled with cyanide-laced drink and told to give it to their children. The screams that followed were unimaginable. Babies and young children cried as they were poisoned. Some parents drank willingly, fully convinced by Jones's words. Others were forced at gunpoint, but armed guards stood ready to stop anyone who tried to flee. As the chaos unfolded, Jones remained eerily calm, urging his followers to die with dignity. When it was over, 918 people lay dead. Among them were 304 children. The images of that day shocked the world. Rows of lifeless bodies sprawled across the ground, victims of a tragedy almost too horrifying to comprehend. In the aftermath, the question everyone asked was, how could this happen? Experts who study cults explain that control often happens in stages. First, isolation. Members are cut off from friends and family, leaving only the group. Then dependency. The group becomes their entire world, providing food, shelter, and purpose. Next comes fear and guilt, where members are punished or shamed for questioning authority. Rituals reinforce obedience, and finally, an us versus them mentality takes hold, making the outside world seem like the enemy. For many in Jonestown, leaving didn't feel like an option. By the time Jones ordered mass suicide, his followers were trapped psychologically as well as physically. Some managed to escape that day, running into the dense jungle as the tragedy unfolded. These survivors returned to find their families gone, their lives shattered. Many still carry deep scars, haunted by what they saw and what they lost. Jonestown wasn't just a tragedy from the past, it's a warning for the future. Today, cults and extremist groups still exist. They've moved online, using social media to recruit and control people in ways Jones never could have imagined. The same tactics of isolation, fear, and manipulation are still at work, only in new forms. The legacy of Jonestown reminds us how dangerous blind devotion can be. It shows how one charismatic leader can twist hope into horror and convince ordinary people to do the unimaginable. Jonestown wasn't just about one man's madness. It was about the power of belief and the danger of surrendering your mind to someone else's control. As we look back on that day in November 1978, we are left with one haunting question. Were the people of Jonestown victims who were brainwashed? Or did they truly choose their fate? What do you think?